Hi, everyone, and thank you again for joining me. Thank you again for joining. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 tips, 10 questions that I see a lot of couples mess up in their green card interview. I see this all the time. And I'm also going to share with you some ways on how to answer these questions. So if you're sitting in your green card interview and you hear these questions asked, I want you to remember this little video. Let's get right into it. My name is Attorney Diani Winter-Funde, and I'm an immigration law practitioner in Tampa, Florida, and I'm also the founder of the Winter Immigration Law Academy. I want you to like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Let's get into those tips. Let's dive in. Tip number one, the simple question or the first question that comes to mind is when the officer asks, where did you meet? That's a super simple question. It seems I find when people have met online or they have met in less than perfect circumstances, they try to make something up, or believe it or not, sometimes they just don't remember. To nail down, ask your significant other or your partner or your husband or your wife, where did we meet? Did we meet on the beach in clear water, or did we meet on Plenty of Fish? Right? Be honest with that, because it doesn't matter where you met. It's a simple question. What matters is if you say one thing and your partner says the other. So where did you meet? The second question I see couples mess up is, what of you have in common? What do the two of you have in common? That is something you have to decide before you go to your interview. I don't want you to say painting and he says scuba diving, because certainly it shows that you're like two ships passing in the night. So make sure you figure out, what is it that we do have in common? That is something you should decide on or talk about before you go to your interview. Number three, where was your first date? This one is tricky because for women, for females, we feel like if we just bumped into each other and you took me to McDonald's or Burger King, it's not a date. So we're going to count when you formally invited us out, we got dressed up, we put on the nice diamonds, we put on the pretty dress, and we went into the city. We'll count that as a date. You have to talk about what was the first date? Was the first one just a precursor to the date and the next one is the first date? Don't mess that up by you saying McDonald's and your wife saying the 5-star restaurant Eddie V's. Don't mess that one up. When did your relationship turn romantic? I find this is the part where women, like, we don't want to be, we don't want to be too honest. So maybe the relationship turned romantic within a week, but we don't want to show like we're fast. In Jamaica, they said, I'm fasty. We don't want to say we moved very quickly into our relationship. So we'll try to kind of make it seem longer. Be honest about it. When did it turn longer? Be honest about it. When did it turn romantic? It turned romantic the first time we met, or it turned romantic by the third date. Again, make sure the two of you talk about that. How long was it before you decided to get married? For some, it seems we're never on the same board. Remember, this interview may or may not happen a year and a half, 2 years down the road from the original marriage, in some cases, way years later, right? So make sure you are able to articulate how long it was before you decided to get married. Who proposed to who? It doesn't matter who proposed to who. What matters is both of you know who proposed to who. And in the same breath, where was the proposal? Where did you propose? Why did you decide to have a long or short engagement? If it was because somebody was out of status, right, and you want to build a life together, that is a fair answer. That is a fair answer. You don't have to say, well, I just wanted to get married quickly. I've been waiting all my life. And then the other person gives another reason. You can be honest as to why the both of you decided to get married. That is something you can be honest. The next one, number 7, when did you meet each other's parents? If you have not met the other party's parents, it's okay. A lot of times the parents are living in Malaysia, the parents are living in Egypt, the parents are living in Jamaica. It's okay to say, you know what, I have not met the in-laws, but we've spoken on Zoom. I have called them. It is okay to say we have not yet met. Perfectly fine to say. First, talk about the immigration process. This one throws people off guard because they're not expecting this, right? They'll ask a lot of, they're expecting what's the favorite color? They're expecting all these questions. They're not expecting this one. For most couples, you would have had a conversation about the immigration process. The officers know this, I know it, and you know it. So you're going to hear me keep saying the same thing over again. These are not trick questions. What the officer wants to make sure is that you are being candid and credible during your interview. So if the both of you sat down over dinner and talked about the immigration process or the status of the other person, it is perfectly okay. It is perfectly fine to say that, yes, we did talk about the immigration process about a month into our relationship or 3 months into our relationship. This one I've seen couples get wrong. What did you have for dinner last night? Because you know what? You're sitting in the middle of the interview. I'm nervous as the attorney. You're nervous. The husband's nervous. The officer is nervous. It seems everybody in this room is nervous, and you lose your train of thought. So you say we had Burger King, he say we had McDonald's. It's a simple question, but find out what your husband or wife's favorite meal is or what your partner had for dinner last night. Because this question, I've seen it come up. You get here today. I've seen this problematic, and this is number 10. I've seen this problematic when maybe each party is working in different locations, but they think the officer is trying to trick them to say, how did you get here today? If one party took the number 6 train and the other party took Uber, that's how you got there today. Why? One party was working uptown, the other party is across town, and we decided to meet there, right? If you drove in together, that's fine as well. These are not trick questions. The officer simply wants to know, talk to me about the marriage, talk to me about how the marriage is proceeding. So there's no reason for you to feel the need to be dishonest about these questions. These are not questions meant for any kind of rocket scientist, right? These are simple questions. However, I've seen couples, whether they're sitting together in the interview or sitting separate, I've seen couples really mess these up. So I wanted to just kind of share these 10 questions with you and give you some tips on how to answer these questions so you do not mess up your green card interview. I hope you have found these tips and answers to these questions useful. My name is Attorney Diani Winter-Funde, an immigration law practitioner in Tampa Bay. And until next time, walk good.